Friends, you should know, as our forefathers and foremothers knew, humans are not a solitary species. The whole is greater than its parts. The welfare of all comes before the gratification of one. An individual who defies this principle of human nature denies their humanity. Their ignorance will soon be excised by natural selection. They who disagree with us must realize that we shall prevail.
Ow!
What's the big idea?
What's up, everybody? Bloodman Bobby here. Hope you enjoyed that intro, which was a parody of the 1984 Apple Macintosh commercial made by my amazing sister Penny, who's also serving as the camera operator today. So as you might have guessed, we're going to be talking about something Apple related, which I haven't done on this channel in a really long time, and that is because I've been hinting on social media that I got my hands on the 13-inch MacBook Pro with the Apple M1 Apple Silicon processor, which is going to replace this. This is what's been editing my videos at least since 2018. I got this laptop in January 2018, and it's been a good laptop. This is actually a 2012 15-inch MacBook Pro with Retina display. Really good laptop, pretty good at editing videos in both 720p and 1080p. The downside of this laptop, though, is that unfortunately Apple is no longer giving out major software updates to this laptop. Like, I can't get macOS Big Sur on this thing. And also, I've just been having certain mechanical issues, like the batteries become diminished, meaning I have to plug in basically every time I use it, especially if I'm doing something very battery intensive, like video editing. And also, the trackpad's damaged, so I've had to rely on a wireless mouse. So, great laptop. I really like the decals, some of which we got from this amazing artist, Decalzilla, but it was about time that I got an upgrade. So before we actually get to the upgrade itself, I wanted to actually explain the hardware of this laptop and talk about why Apple is going from Intel processors to Apple Silicon, and what better way to do it than an Apple-styled keynote. Alright, so before I unbox the M1 MacBook Pro, I figured I'd talk a bit about it. Now, what's the big deal? Why do I keep calling this the M1 MacBook Pro? Isn't this just any other 13-inch MacBook Pro? What is M1? What's going on here? Well, the thing about this MacBook Pro is that it's one of the first Macs to forego an Intel processor in favor of Apple Silicon. And if you ask Apple why they're making this processor transition, they'll tell you it's to continue to improve their computers. However, if you talk to this Intel insider, he says that it's because Apple became dissatisfied of Intel's quality assurance when it came to their Skylake chips. In fact, I'll have a link down below to a PC Gamer article where this insider talks about more details about what happened between Intel and Apple. Now, with Apple Silicon, Apple's promising fast processors with great power efficiency. This particular M1 chip that's in this MacBook Pro has an 8-core CPU, which contains 4 efficiency cores and 4 performance cores. The chip has an 8-core GPU, a 16-core neural engine, and it was built on the 5nm process. Alright, so being that this is a 13-inch M1 MacBook Pro, it's got a 13-inch LED backlit display with a high resolution. It's got the M1 system on a chip that we just talked about. Since this is a base model, it has 256 gigabytes of flash storage, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and all M1 MacBook Pros as of right now have 2 USB-C ports that also function as Thunderbolt 3 ports. Now, because this laptop only has 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports and a headphone jack, this does mean I had to take a trip to Dongle Town. So you could see in this picture, I picked up an XQD card adapter, this multi-port USB-C adapter, and Apple's VGA adapter. But I guess the good news about this picture was that it was #shot on iPhone. Now, if you can afford upgrades, Apple will let you upgrade the storage to 2 terabytes and you can get up to 16 gigabytes of memory. So now with this keynote out of the way, let's get to the main event. Let's get to the unboxing. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's get to unboxing this What's that white plume of smoke? Oh hey, it's Blood Moon Me. How you doing? I'm good. How are you? I'm good. What brings you here? Just as Intel gave Steve Jobs the Intel wafer, I give you the Apple Silicon wafer. Here you go. Oh, cool, thanks. So now that Blood Mummy has given me that wafer, let's get to the actual unboxing. Alright, let's get to unboxing. I actually just noticed just before we were starting to film, there's a little tab here, so I think... Oh, is it... I'm probably failing at this because I didn't get it all the way, but no worries. So, just get all this plastic. Walking around too much. New computer. And here it comes. Ta-da! MacBook Pro in, as Detroit Borg might say, in frosted space gray. It's really just put in a plastic cover. So, yep, here it is. My space gray 13-inch MacBook Pro with Apple Silicon, which we'll get back to in a second. This aside, ooh, I really like the size of it. I really miss 13-inch MacBook Pros. Yeah, I used to have a 2012 13-inch MacBook Pro from 2012, but it was not powerful enough to do color grading, which is crazy for the original price. We have USB-C cable for charging. Got our manuals. Is it the kind of thing where I could open? Manual. Just we'll go through some. Just MacBook Pro warranty and space gray Apple stickers. I think this is the first time I got an Apple product that had a different color of Apple stickers rather than the usual white color. Is there anything else? Well, but yeah, basically manuals and Apple stickers and our charger. The nice thing about this one, that because it charges over USB-C, technically speaking, I've heard that people could actually also use this as a fast charger for iPhones, which I'm sure would make my sister really happy. It's just that you got to use a lightning cable that goes to USB-C. Yeah, and she is not thrilled. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's actually get this thing set up. Alright, let's see if we can actually get that Macintosh startup sound. Knew it. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot that in modern Macs, they got rid of the old Mac OS 10 intros. If Mac OS Big Sur had one, I think this is what it would look like. Okay, now let's go through setup. And yes, as you can see, this MacBook Pro still has that touch bar. Which I still wanted to try out. It might be kind of useful for my social media work. So we'll choose English. This Force Touch trackpad feels good. I've tried it at Apple stores before. Country, where is United States? US. Spain, St. Kitts and Nevis, Switzerland, United States. Continue. Accessibility. Okay, so I had to do a jump cut because they asked me to connect to Wi-Fi, and since I like my privacy, I didn't want to show that. So, moving on. Before I do, I just wanted to say that I did try out the keyboard that it comes with for a second. Feels pretty nice. It might be just me, but it feels a teensy bit flatter than my 2012 MacBook Pro, but it's still good. I am glad, though, that this doesn't use that old butterfly mechanism like on the 2016 MacBook Pro, because I heard there's a lot of problems with that sort of keyboard, so I'm glad they switched back. So, in privacy, continue. I'm gonna migrate my data from my 2012 MacBook Pro, but we'll do that later. And I had to do another jump cut in order to sign into my Apple ID and also to set up my computer account. So hopefully it won't take too long to set up with iCloud. So might talk a bit about my expectations about the 13-inch MacBook Pro while we wait. I've watched a couple reviews, and it's really surprising how much performance was able to come out of the Apple M1 processor. Okay, so had to do another jump cut there. I had to sign in with my Apple ID and set up my computer account, and they also wanted me to set up Apple's Find My service in case I lost this laptop. So, okay, so they're asking for analytics. We'll just hit that, click continue. Screen time. Admittedly, I don't really use it much. Siri. Are they going to ask me to train my voice? I guess so. So let's do this. Hey Siri. Hey Siri, open the Documents folder. Hey Siri, show my downloads. Hey Siri, what's the weather? Hey Siri, what does the rest of my day look like? Okay, so Siri is set up. Admittedly, not sure if I'm really gonna use Siri that much. I don't really use Siri too often on my iPhone and iPad, but I guess it's good to see at least what the setup process is like. And continue. Ooh, this is the fun part, setting up Touch ID. So yeah, just like setting up Touch ID on my old iPhone 7. Use your fingerprint. Okay, so just do that. I've done this kind of thing at Apple stores before. So yeah, but it's really cool that they added this feature to the more recent MacBooks. So Touch ID is ready to go. So I can now use my fingerprint to log in instead of having to type up a password. Apple Pay. And they asked me to set up Apple Pay, which of course I had to do another jump cut because it showed my debit card information. So back again, we just chose auto for the look. True tone display. I mean, are they going to let me use this without it, or am I going to have to turn that off later? I don't really want to use true tone display as somebody that does a lot of color correction. So now, okay, now we got to the setting up your Mac screen. And so while we wait for that to set up, I'll maybe talk about some of my expectations for the 13-inch MacBook Pro with Apple Silicon. I've actually heard some really good things about this laptop. I was actually really surprised, mainly because even though I liked Apple Silicon and things like iPhones and iPads, I didn't really consider how would it work with things like 4K video, but apparently the M1 chip can edit 4K videos really well, so I'll probably try that. So calendar would like to use location. And that's it. This is it. macOS Big Sur. It's actually the first time I've gotten to see Big Sur in person, thanks to the pandemic. So yeah, that is the 13-inch MacBook Pro with Apple Silicon. Alright, so that has been our MacBook Pro unboxing. I'm not planning to do a review of this laptop, mainly because I don't think I could do the most comprehensive review since I mainly do photo and video editing. I don't really do things like programming or creating music in like Logic Pros. But what I might do down the line is I'm thinking of doing a video talking about how well this MacBook Pro works with my current workflow, especially since we're still currently in the middle of the transition from Intel processors to Apple Silicon. There are apps out there that are optimized for Apple Silicon, like I think of Firefox or Lightroom, and certainly all of Apple's apps. But then there are also still a lot out there that still have to run through Rosetta or are just plain unoptimized, like I think of the Adobe Creative Suite, for example. So I may do a video talking about how well the this MacBook Pro works with my current workflow. But otherwise, that's it for unboxing. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you have this MacBook Pro, or are you planning on getting an Apple Silicon computer, or are you going to wait for future ones? So leave all those thoughts down below. Thank you to my sister Penny for animating the intro in the beginning and being the camera operator. And until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you all for watching. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot! There is one more thing. I almost forgot to set the mood. How cool is that?